Check. Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Please, I would like to respectfully shift forward cluster so that to make for more coverage of this workshop. Please, those of you behind, just make sure that you are. Let's feel ourselves. Please just move forward. University event, and they will take the opening prayer.
Our Heavenly Father, we give you thanks this morning for the many blessings you have lavished on our lives. We thank you for the blessing of good health, the blessing of life, and the privilege.
You have enough information so that you spend the Christmas after eating the rice and drinking the palm wine to prepare proposals so that come 2023, you will be very, very busy and lucratively so. So I welcome you and I plead with you to be patient. We have participants in this workshop from India, we have from the Cameroon and other parts of Nigeria, not only University of Calabar. Once more, welcome and may God be with us all. Thank you.
At times it's difficult to stand here and talk to an audience like this, but I'll request that we can do better than that. Yes. Thank you very much. And so, without much ado, we'll move straight into the first presentation, which is titled The Search for Research Grant Opportunities, the Role of Computer and Digital Literacy. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to invite the Director, Center for Teaching and Learning Excellence, Professor Benja, to deliver this lecture. Please join me with a round of applause.
The technical unit is permit me to stand on established protocols to once more welcome you to this shop, which so I said welcome once again to this workshop, which will be interactive, because I know that seated in the audience are also people who must have been deeply experienced in research. But Providence has it that today you are seated here as a participant. So in the course of this workshop, you will be given a chance to make comments that will help all of us. The Director of Research and Development has said it all in his opening remarks. And I want to appreciate him and all of us as we commence. Let's go to the first slide. Let's look at the title. Well, I don't know if you can read that. article, travel back to Jos. Today, whatever you want, the internet is available to bring Australia, from the US, wherever, right into your bedroom. With just a dime you spend as internet fee. Now, the sources of research grants. One, we can have research grants from government, like in the Nigerian case. The major funder of research in Nigeria is government. If there are private organizations that sponsor research, if there are foundations in Nigeria, I'm talking of Nigerian-born foundations or Nigerian-based foundations or foundations that are owned by Nigerians or private companies in Nigeria that sponsor research, there'll be job of research in Nigeria we know is TEDFund. And there they talk of IBR, and then they talk of NRF. That for IBR, hello? For IBR, you can obtain a grant, maximum grant. For NRF, you can get maximum of 50 million. We also have non-governmental organizations. I don't know if you're hearing me, but the volume is low. Please, do you hear me? Okay, now it's up. From non-governmental organizations, we can have grants from foundations, international agencies, course-related organizations, for grants on HIV/AIDS, grants on peace, grants on security, agriculture, religion, and so on. The sources continue. You can have grants from corporations, advertisement in mass media. You can locate a grant source. Advertisement in the social media. Let me Hello? Okay. Hello? Okay. 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 So, we have grants can be obtained in professional and institutional newsletters, acknowledgements in articles, and so on. Even from colleagues, by discussion, you can stumble at a research source. Research offices like academic planning, Directorate of Research and Development like we have here. Okay, you can have a research grant from the internet and so on. Now let's look at, I mentioned one of the sources of research grants as foundations. Let's look at a few foundations. In the US, there are more than 100,000 foundations distributing about $47 billion each year on research. When I saw this, I asked myself, How many foundations do we have here as a country? If US alone is having 100,000 foundations. Among them, we have the Ford Foundation. We also have Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. We'll talk about some of these briefly. The Rockefeller Foundation, Open Society Foundation, the Bush Foundation. Then in the UK, we have 10,000, more than 10,000 trusts and foundations, distributing more than 2 billion pounds every year. Among these, we have the Wellcome Trust, we have the Garfield Weston, the Wolferson Foundation, Sigrid Rossing Trust, and so on. Germany has over 23,000 foundations. Let's look at a few of these. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. It was established by husband and wife. Bill Gates, and his wife, Melinda French Gates. They co-founded the Bill Gates and Melinda Gates Foundation in 2000. It was the world's largest charitable organization as at 2015. It is a merger of the William Gates Foundation and Gates Learning Foundation. We know that they parted ways after some time. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, their primary goals. It is important for you, when you identify a funding source, to look at the goals of that source, the goals of the founder. Because if you fail to address the goals of the founders, you will not get the grant. Now, the goals of Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, their primary goals are healthcare, reduction of extreme poverty across the world. 3, expansion of educational opportunities. And 4, access to information technology, that is ICT. So if you are doing a research or you are looking for a grant and you say, okay, let me apply to Bill and Melinda Gates, you are not addressing any of their goals. Of course, you know that your proposal will end up in the trash. Wellcome Trust, a UK-founded, a UK-based foundation. It was founded in honor of Henry Wellcome. He was a pharmacist. This trust was founded in 1936. 1936. The year Wellcome died. So it was founded to honor him. The funding for the mission came from the profits of the pharmaceutical business. And Wellcome Trust was later bought over by Glaxo, but the vision remains the same. The primary goals of Wellcome Trust. It was established in accordance with Henry Wellcome's will to improve health by scientific research. So if you're doing a research that borders on health, that is where to go. Wellcome Trust. The current worth of Wellcome Trust is 38 billion pounds. Then there is the BMBF it's an abbreviation for a German, it is written in German, but the abbreviation is BMBF. It is a Federal Ministry of Education and Research in Germany, founded in 1955 by the government of Germany, with headquarters in Bonn. By God's mercies and grace, I was there in Bonn, and at the Jülich Research Center in Düren, we have, I think, one of the largest research centers in the world, with branches in major countries of the world. This center has the largest computer in the world. They call it supercomputer. That per second, data analysis is going on. In fact, you can, from Calabar here, get connected and you can do your data analysis from here if you are linked to that supercomputer. I had the privilege to see it. Of course, you can't enter into the room or the hall, but you can see it through a glass. I think larger than this hall. You can imagine the various CPUs that were mounted in that hall. Now, the BMBF goals, initially it was intended for nuclear energy research. It was later expanded to include researches in natural sciences. So if you are in the natural sciences, physics, chemistry, biology, mathematics, and so on, you can, that is a place to go. Also, they cater for sustainable development, ICT, and life sciences. People would normally ask that when you look at most of these research opportunities, they seem to be addressing science, engineering, technology. I've had people ask questions, what of people in the arts, in the social sciences, in education? But one of those foundations that talks about peace, security, you know, it is the arts and the social sciences that can address this. Locating funding resources, there is one word you should not forget in the process of this workshop. It is called CANDID, C-A-N-D-I-D. To locate research funding sources, you need to do some research using some research databases like this one, CANDID. It's a research database, and this is what it does. With CANDID, you can log in to funding information. With this CANDID alone, you can log in to funding information. You can also log in for more personal visibility for the attraction of donors. That is, you bring yourself up. You showcase yourself for online visibility, that you also can be looked for. Like I said, some of us here must have done researches, must have accessed grants, or we have things that are wonderful, but they are not known to the outside world. So through CANDID, you can expose yourself, and people will look for you. Once you log in for more visibility, your profile can be updated. For instance, you are already in Candid, but by today maybe you discovered something else. You have added to your profile. You go there and update. There are people who hardly spend 2 months in this country, lecturers or researchers generally, because they have made themselves visible and people are looking for them. You can imagine one person getting 2, 3, or 4 job opportunities, being invited here and there, and he is turning down some of them because you can't share yourself. I was so shocked when I heard of a little girl who was receiving grants, assessing grants, some of them 500, some of them $500,000, $1 million, £1 million, and so on. And she was, imagine somebody rejecting a grant of say $500,000 or $1 million because she has so many to select from. So it is possible. Use Candid and sell yourself. It looks as if one of the greatest tragedies of life is for somebody to be so well endowed, but is unable to sell this endowment for his benefit or the benefit of the world, and to leave all through and end up in the grave with the same endowments. Unfortunately, there's so many people who should have nothing to do with poverty, who should have nothing to do with lack, because of what God has deposited in them. But those things are lying there dormant. I'm not exonerating myself. Seated here are people in almost any setting, any group. If you bring them, they will always talk. And some of us here, some of you here, right from your primary school, you have always been at the top. You remember in those days, in the primary school, at the end of a term, they will gather, the headmaster will gather all the teachers and students into one hall. Those of us who went to village primary schools, this is what we experienced. And then they will read the results, class by class. Beginning with the best students, they will say the first student in this class is this person. And you come out and enjoy the accolade, sometimes gifts. And for some, it continued like that from primary 1 to 6. They were never. For some, they continued even in the secondary school. They were never beaten. And you will see such persons. They've gone to the university, made the best result. Why should such a person languish in poverty when there is so much in the head? The reason is that they've not been able to locate the source of their help. They've not been able to strike a link, a connection that will take them from obscurity. So we hope that this workshop will help you. So if you forget everything in my lecture, do not forget Candid, C-A-N-D-I-D. I have here a list of funding sources and links that you just click and you are there. Some of them, once you register, they will be sending to you regularly grant opportunities for you to apply. Global foundations. I have, thank God, at the end of this lecture workshop, you will be given this lecture, so you may not have to bother yourself scribbling so much. So under global foundations, we have the Canadian Foundation with over 250 grants giving foundations. The link is here. That is the link. You just click on it, you're there. Then we have international funding, international grants, and fundraisers. That is the link. International Human Rights Funders Group. That is the link. International and foreign grant makers. Then non-profit experts. Grants to non-US organizations. That is the link. Global Fund to fight AIDS, TB, and malaria. That is the link. And when we talk about links or foundations that have to do with health, do you know that Nigeria and most of Africa, they are so vulnerable when you talk of health, and there are so many grants, there's so many donors out there who are willing to help. Take, for instance, the rubbish or refuse that are indiscriminately disposed on the streets of Calabar and many cities in Nigeria. If you come up with the right proposal, the kind of grants that you will attract will keep you busy, will also keep you, will deliver you from poverty. Even though we know that we're not supposed to carry research money and chop. But embedded in the research grant policy is the fact that as a grantee, a certain percentage is allocated to you for your effort. Now, if you win a grant of, say, $1 million, and maybe 3% is yours, or 5% is yours, you are delivered from poverty completely. We still have global foundations. There are just quite so many. Global Development Network, European Commission, that is EU, and the site is here. Women in International Development, for if you want to, especially if you are a woman, let me also say this, there are so many funding opportunities for women that are lying waste. And then some of those funding opportunities, there are restrictions. They can say, you should be a woman from the West African sub-region. And because only very few women are able to access this, and even those who access this may not be interested or don't have the capacity to apply, those opportunities are wasted. So you can be lucky that when you apply, there are very few applications. So you stand a chance. Somebody will talk about the skills of writing fundable proposals. So I don't want to go into that. My lecture concentrates on how you can locate donors. Then we have again grants.gov. If you search, you Google grants.gov. This is run by the US government and is a central information storehouse on over 1,000 grant programs, providing about $500 billion of awards annually, but it is not restricted to US citizens. International agriculture grants for those of you in agriculture, or if you are interested in agriculture. In fact, time would not let me mention all, and of course I will not try to do that. We have the World Bank's Africa program. This site provides data and research, news publications, etc. about the country they are aiding or the countries they are aiding. The projects are funded by the World Bank. Our director here, Director of Research and Development, not too long ago, made an announcement on World Grant Research. But if you don't apply, you will not get it. Other websites, like the British Academy Flexi Grant Platform, just click on it, you are there. Scholars Hub Africa, Swiss African Research Corporation, funding database, doctoral fellowships and so on. You just click here. Then the Institute of International Education's Scholar Research Fund and TWAS Fellowship, that is Third World Academy of Science. There are so many that I will not want to bore you too much. But like I said, this will be sent to you so that you can make use of them. I want to thank you very much for listening. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please can we give the presenter a resounding applause for a job well done.
For the purpose of developing themselves and that of national development. But unfortunately, many of these academics have been unable to access these funds. Why? Because we hardly meet criteria, the requirements. Because research fund is not something you go and beg or canvass for, just like when you are seeking for school position. There are certain things you need to do. You have to do what we call proposal writing. And our inability to access these funds has been because we have no skills. We don't know the styles, what it requires to get a fundable research proposal that can give us that fund we need. I remember when in the past, UNICAF, for instance, most of us don't know what is state fund. We don't know what is research grant. And that fund kept on sending money to this institution for this purpose. At the end of the year, they will refund the money again to TED fund because we were unable to utilize it. Not until recently, it became aware. And some of us started benefiting from this, but very, very few. And that has been what we have been losing on the part of research grant, especially from TED fund. when you travel out of this university, go to other universities, you see third form presence. Even the lower institutions, tertiary institutions like colleges of education, polytechnics, you feel the impact of third form there more than we do here at the university. And most of us, we are thinking that there's no benefit going through that because of several times we have tried without getting it. It is not because they are not there. They are there, but how to get there is the problem. And once you try and get it, believe it or not, all these things will suffer this year. You say this, you say that. You won't be suffering that because the money is already there through your hard work. So that is why it becomes very, very important that we should know how to write fundable research proposals. When we went for this training, some of us from this area, we were just like novice. When many of our colleagues were tourists, telling us stories about how much they have gotten, how much they are retired. Some of them even came to defend the one of this year. And that, I don't think anybody from this UNICA went for that, if at all. Very, very few of them. And also, we observe that these reviewers of third fund and other organization funders are past vice chancellors of universities. The least among them is past deputy vice chancellor. And if you go to face them and you don't know your onions, because there's no looking at faces. Your father may be there. Your first son may be there or daughter. He or she will not look at your face. If you don't know it, you don't know it. You personally, I've entered this thing more than 2 times. I've not gotten it. But with the experience I've gotten this time, I've told them, wait for me next time. So please, let us look at the skills that will enable us get what this fundable proposal writing requires. Okay? Preparing winning proposals workshop objectives. We have seen why we need this. It is to better understand your internal and external infrastructure and what you can offer. Like I said earlier, you are not doing this only for getting the money from the research or the third fund or any organization, but also to develop yourself, to develop the nation. Even this university ranking we are talking about, this is part of it. Now, in the past, you are seeking for promotion. Nobody talks about grant application, but now it's one of the requirements. At least of attempted application. If not, from senior lecturer and above, no promotion for you. And the better if you have gotten one before, it will give you an advantage for promotion. To develop more effective proposals to help you win more funding. And once you get this knowledge, other ones are easy. They become easier than what you thought they were. And also to own communication and presentation skills. And finally, to develop personal action plan. Most of us don't have plans for ourselves. We are always in a hurry to do something. For instance, now, maybe after today, tomorrow you see advert from one organization, funding organization or the other. You won't take time. You will not take time to look at it. To know what requirements, what are the requirements they need, so that you can prepare yourself for getting it. Then it will also lead to changes that will influence the way you conduct research and apply for funding. most of us, conducting research becomes a problem for us. And if you give ourselves time, you discover that it is the easiest thing to do, especially when you prepare yourself very well. So all these things will help us. And again, you discover that it involves competition. When you get there, like today, this year when we went there, they told us about 570 applications were received. I think only 170 or less than that were invited for defense. Because at the end of the day, when they look at your proposals, they will now sort out the most qualified ones and invite them for defense. Because that is not the end. Selecting your own proposal is not the end. You have to defend it. So that let it not be that somebody else wrote it for you. And again, as a leader, because every team has a leader, and that team, they call him principal investigator. You will be invited. Probably they will ask you to come with one person from your team. And you have to be sure, you have to be ready to defend what you have written. And another area we fail to understand that forming a team. We normally say, okay, my thematic area is engineering. Only those in engineering will be part of my team. No. It is more advantageous to select from other fields, even from other universities. It doesn't mean that all of them must come from your university. No. Select from different fields, and that will make a very acceptable team. And the principal investigator must be a very, very senior colleague of those teammates. Probably, if possible, professor and above. No, but it's not a must. A senior lecturer can be a team leader. Okay, senior lecturer and above. There's no professor and above. Otherwise, you'll be an emeritus. Emeritus. Yeah, to be successful, you must know your organization. Which he had told us so many organizations that are founders. Which one do you think is better? Because there might be more than 10 at a time. Look at them very well and know the one that is more viable, one that is very, very conducive, where you can now get what you need. Don't be confused in choosing your organization. Understand the funding environment. We are in Nigeria today. Funding environment in Nigeria cannot be the same with Ghana or other developed countries. So what is your own environment? What do they need? Because everything starts from choosing a topic, and your topic must be based on the need, the current trend, the problem of the society, of your country, or even global problem. So you cannot just choose a topic and go on to write it. You have to know, understand your funding environment. Then know the competition. Who are you competing with? Don't believe that you are the only one that has written something from that area. If you go there, you see that there are many more people from your area that are written something, and so it is necessary for you to understand that you are facing competition. Then identify unique value preposition. That's UVP. That is how best is your own proposal among others. Just aim at being the best. Once you say yes, I will make sure I become the best in this proposal, then that will urge you to work hard and make sure that you will be the best. Hello? Yes, strategies and tactics of bidding. expression of interest, request for proposals, invitation to tender, funding applications, and commercial sector. Now, because you have interest in it. So, expression of interest, especially when you are the defending state, what interest have this problem or your thematic area? Why do you choose it? You have to give it, you have to make it known to them. Then how do you request for proposals? Who is requesting for proposal? And who are you applying for proposal to? All this, you need to know them. Just like we have been told, these papers will be given to us at the end of everything. Now, let us look at proposal, what a good proposal should cover. The front cover. You see, in those years, most of us don't know that when we are asked to submit our proposals, we just submit it like 10 paper or ordinary paper. In fact, proposal cover, if you see a complete proposal, this thing, preparation, it's just like a textbook. Okay? Then, confidentiality. How confident are you in what you are doing? Because if the confidence is not there, you are not convinced of what you want to do. You have no confidence in yourself, you have no confidence in your group or your team. So ensure that that thing is there. We went for training that so many people, so many work were discovered to be copyrights of other work. Some people will go and take somebody or other group's work, a work that has been awarded. What you want is to get that grant. So, we have to make sure that we make use of tools that will guide us to have correct language styles. Then we'll talk about recommended structure, executive summary. Yes, proposal is not something that will bulk you. Once you submit your proposal, they will go straight. The reviewers will go straight to what you have summarized. And your summary must be very, very executive. It must be very, very concise. Then, the situation overview. What they expect to see there. Once they see your executive summary, the summary, everything about that proposal is seen there. Then what are the problems and challenges? Then be objective in what you are doing. Apply strategy in whatever you are submitting. Because one thing is, you don't know where you are going. Maybe you are going to this way very short. You go and take other area. And at the end of the day, say, yes, I've gotten these people today. Without knowing that you are just rimarolling. So what we are trying to say here, apply strategy in what you are doing. And tactics. Timetable. Fine. By the time you see, maybe before I leave here, I'll give you the details of what they need. And one of them is this timetable. You have to develop the skill of drawing timetable in your proposal. What is the timetable all about? Because we have sections in proposals. For instance, introduction. Introduction cannot take a whole month, a whole 1 month. After introduction, you also get other things following it. And each of them must have time limit. Make sure you are guided by this timetable so that other areas should not be left out. And by knowing the time you have allotted to one section, you know how to come about beating the time. Then, we'll talk about, where am I? Okay, optional activities. Optional activities. It's true in proposal writing. There might be options left for you to choose from. It is not one-way traffic. What you need to know, those options that are available, apply them, and make sure that the one you have chosen is the one needed for what you want. Then, measurement and evaluation. Before you take your work for evaluation, you evaluate yourself. There must be meeting from time to time among your team members, whereby because each team member must have a role to play. Defend your own area. We evaluate you. So this measurement and evaluation must take place before final submission of our work. Then quality control. We all of us know this. There's nothing as good as quality. Your work must be quality work. Or submission. If you know that there's area you have not been able to meet up with, try and meet up. Get whatever you can get to ensure that your work is of quality, because you are meeting other people whose work might be much more having a quality than your own. Then resources, that's another area. We were also told during the training that some people quote a lot of money beyond what their project will achieve. And once they look at that one alone can disqualify you. And also, some people underestimate their work because they say, maybe if I quote too much, they will disqualify me. Then you went and underestimate yourself. And when they ask you, say, no problem, I can manage. You can manage work, which means you are taking your work to be a management work. So if your money, the budget you have made for that project is not something that can give you what you want, they will tell you, yes, you are here for a joke, and we are not here for a joke. All you need is to give you money and do anything you like with it. No. You have to ensure that the budget, whatever you are quoting for your work, must be something that will give you what you want, and something you can control, something that you are sure that the funders will be able to assess you with. And why are you even into this research? What are the benefits? You have to state the benefits of what you want to do, both to yourself as an academic and to your institution, then above all, to the nation. What are the benefits? What do you stand to benefit at the end of this? What is the resultant effect of your research at the end of the day? Thank you for assisting me. Then, that structure. No, now, we have gone through this. Hello? Grant proposal writing skills. Now, this is the major thing we are talking about. Understanding your target audience. Who are your target audience? Because if you don't know whom you are going to talk to, or talk with, or discuss with, or you are working for, in fact, your work may be a child's play. So you must know your target audience. Because who are you going to use for your research? You have a problem from which you chose your topic. And certain set of people are involved in this problem. Do you know them? How do you involve them? These are your target audience. Even our ordinary project writing, you must know your target audience. For instance, in marketing, if you don't know your target audience, as a producer or as a marketer, you will know where to distribute your goods to. Because you will know who is ready to buy or to purchase your product or your services. So know your target audience, and that's how you can scale through. Then, research. You know, when you talk about research, when we are doing our A&P, we normally consider two areas: empirical work and opinion work. And we believe that empirical research or studies always give us an edge because they attract more points than opinion papers. So you are submitting your proposal. Are you submitting empirical studies or opinion paper? The best way to win proposal or funding proposal is that your research is empirical, because it will give clearer view of what you want to do and what it will give to you. Then power of persuasion. You must be a politician, no, academic politician, because you have to persuade. You must be a good marketer. Just like when we talk about marketing promotion, if you don't know how to persuade your consumers, whatever you send to the market will also be sent back to the house because nobody will buy it. Try to persuade your target audience. Persuade them. Tell them that what you are presenting is what is needed at that particular time. And how do you do that? It's not by mouth. It's by what you put on paper. You have to convince them. Because the reviewers are there. All the fields, whether you are in science, humanities, we have specialists there. So whatever you present, they will see it. Then take ample time for preparation. I've told you, you have to take time, prepare yourself very well. Then pay attention to details. Whatever detail you have given or you are about giving, pay attention to them and make sure that they are clear. Then stay concise and clear. Don't try to be over clever. Yes, most of us try to think that we can show cleverness without knowing that those you are playing with are cleverer than yourself. So don't try to be over clever. Then follow your interest. You have already established an interest, so follow it. Then, qualities of a good proposal required of a reviewer's scope. You see, you need to know. Maybe tomorrow you become somebody part of this committee. And it's by knowing what they want or what they should be, you now know what you present to them. Confidentiality. Like I told you earlier that somebody was caught submitting an old work proposal submitted by another person that has already won grant. And they discovered it. But they did not say anything as to humiliate the person there. Even though they told us about this, they didn't mention any name. So confidentiality is part of their qualities. Then fairness. I told you they don't look at faces. Be you their son, daughter, or they might be your own father or mother. No. They make sure they do what they are supposed to do. No fairness play. No fair play. Everybody will be treated equally. The excellent qualities of a good reviewer, efficiency, and transparency. So we know all these things. Hello? How to win a research grant. Even in disciplines in which research is, no, we are going back. Well, let's repeat that. Even in disciplines in which research is inherently inexpensive, grant capture is increasingly being adopted as a metric to judge academics and universities. Yes, I told you earlier that universities today are being judged based on what they do with our research grants. Universities ranking today, they look at how many of your staff are participating in research and how many of them have won grant. Then, with success rates typically better than 1 in 5, rejection is the fate of most applications. Despite our efforts every year, majority of work or proposals we submit are being rejected. And why? Because we do not possess the skills. And at times we possess these skills, but we don't give ourselves time to apply these skills in what we are doing. At times we know the criteria, but we don't apply them. And at times, out of ignorance, we don't know the requirements. So the earlier we learn all these things, the better. So 6 tips on how to improve these odds. Know your funding agency and believe in yourself. Excite the reviewers competitively. That is, you have to make sure that they are excited with your work. I mean the reviewers. Because you have already known that you are going for competition. Once they are excited with your work, definitely they are going to give attention to your work. But once they open the first page, the second page, still talking nothing, they will just cover it and say next, because you are not the only one. Clarify your logic and enlarge your figures. Yes, when you are using figures or graphs or diagrams, ensure that they are large enough so that they will be clear for any reader, and be brave enough to change direction. You see, there are many agencies, many funders. If at the middle of whatever you have started and you discover that this will not fetch you anything, you can change direction. Even among the when you are applying, there are many thematics. If that first thematic you have chosen is not fetching you anything, look for another thematic and see whether it will be better for you, it will be more conducive for you. Like I said earlier, hone your sales pitch, tally up opportunity cost. You see, most of us, we don't apply opportunity costs in our life endeavors. At times, you see that something is here and you want to pursue it. But already something is somewhere else you are pursuing. Weigh the two together and know which one is better. Because by combining the two, you may lose the two. Opportunity cost must be on one of them, based on what you need. And that's why the economists talk about scale of preference. That you have spent money on something doesn't mean that you must pursue it to the end when you know that you will not fetch you anything. Look at it very well. Make use of opportunity cost and choose the best one for yourself. The leader's presentation skills. I've listed them there. These are the skills. A leader, as a leader, I've told you. The principal investigator is the leader of the team. And these are the skills you need to possess. Clarity, control, consistency, confidence. Okay, tell who is on the team. Like I said earlier, all the team members should be there in your work. All the details about your team members, that's the most important thing. They are ranked based on the seniority order. Professor, social department, social field, the same thing down to even assistant lecturer can be part of it. But he has to, and their CVs must be attached. Then you talk about, make sure each one has what? No worry. Make sure each one has a role. I've told you that every member of the team has a role to play. If you are not having any role, there's no need including you in that area. So you don't need to be part of it if you don't play any role, because everybody's aim is to win the proposal. Do not read. Thank you very much. So you can enlarge it more than this. Do not read the speech or user or use. Sorry, I'm not here with my glasses. Okay, copious notes. Like I said earlier, copyrights. At times we bring other people's work and we'll be copying whatever we see there, and that is wrong. So we should not make use of that. I think I have that thing, yes. Okay? Cover the benefits. All the benefits you feel that this proposal, the research work is going to give, make sure they are all covered. Because in your presentation, they will ask you all these questions. What do you think this work will cover at the end of the day? You'll be ready to give details of them. Then overcoming nervousness, don't be nervous. Be confident of what you want to do. Yes. Tell them that yes, you and your team are the authors of the work, and you know what you did. Arrive early and survey the environment. The day of interview as a leader, you don't need to come late, because once you are late to any program, believe it or not, no matter how expert you are, something must have been removed from you. But if you are there early, sit down, relax, look at the environment and see. Then you have confidence of yourself and you are ready to face whatever comes there. So don't be late. Always be there before time. Before you speak, establish firm eye contact. You know, at times, most of us are shy. I remember when I was teaching in secondary school, one of our physics teachers, he was sent to girls' school. Whenever he's teaching and discovered that the students are looking at him, he will bend his face like this. And that is the beginning of poor teaching. So, establish good eye contact. Don't be afraid of anybody. Don't shy. If anybody sets his or her eyes on you, open your own. Yes. There's one mystery that I know the fear eye. Yes. Then, do not think of the audience as hostile or challenging. I told you earlier, they are all very, very friendly. Just like some of us go for defense, you have candidates to examine, either master's or PhD. The first thing is to address the students that you are not there to slaughter them. You are not there to kill them. Bring them home. Tell them that they should feel at home. And that's how these reviewers are. Don't feel that they are hostile. No matter the way they frame their questions, they are not. Because they are your colleagues. They have equally gone through all these things before now. Then avoid jargons. Most of us try to apply big English, big grammar, when we're presenting or in a defense. No, use simple English and get what you want to get. Because there might be some words you use, even though they might be correct, but the person you are addressing may not know the meaning of that word. And instead of wasting time, you say, okay, this one don't know what he's doing. No. Then use the rule. There are rules and regulations guiding presentation, and you need to know them. And one thing about a special TED fund or other funders, before anything in their advertisement or call for submission, they state everything they need. And that's why we need to take time to look at them. We need not be in a hurry. We need not be saying, oh, that time is finished. Time is against me. No, cool down. And you see whatever they need. If you feel that once you don't have, don't go into it. There's no point wasting your time. So abide by the rules and regulations. So I think so far so good. There are some points to note, and such points include, okay, get someone else to read your application before submission. I've said this thing earlier. Don't say you are too much, you know everything. No. Finish writing, even without even proposal. Ordinary project, ordinary seminar paper. If you read before presentation, to look at it for you, because there might be some areas you need to put comma, and you forgot, or you meet it. And comma, ordinary comma, can change any statement to either positive or negative. So we need to employ someone to help us our work. Even all these inaugural lecturers you see, they don't write and come here and stand before you to present them. They give to more than 3 persons to read them, to help them cross the T's and dot the I's. So that's what you should be doing if you want to get a research proposal grant. Resisting telling the story of how rich your hypothesis is. Forget about storytelling. You may even be thinking that those hypotheses are rich without knowing that they are the poorest before the reviewers. Ensure that your references are up to date and comprehensive. Yes, that's one thing again. Every other thing may be good up to references. That reference alone can disqualify others. Like some of our postgraduate students, in their defense, we ask them what is upper format. They won't be able to tell you. And at this time now, if you don't know the upper format to follow, to adopt in your writings, especially when it comes to references, then you are having a problem. So make sure you know the rules and regulations guiding references. Otherwise, they will tell you, yes, the other ones you did, maybe somebody did it for you. So they are very, very important. And filling all the pages, 2 pages, 3 pages with the references is not welcome. Because you don't even need much more references. Because this is a typical happening research. You are not assuming. You are not depending on much documents to have much references. It's what you go into the field and see yourself. So the fewer the references, the better. But they must be current. They must be current. Then make sure that figures you put are not so small as to make it impossible to read. I've said this earlier. And do not be over ambitious, promoting everything. No. The panel may be doubt if it will be able to do with the resources requested. I told you the resources, the amount you are quoting, over-quoted or quoted, let it be commensurate with whatever you want to. In conclusion, to be a successful grant writer, you need to have skills beyond writing consciously and persuasively. You must pay attention to details, understand budget allocation, and communicate data analysis to funders. Understanding the entity's mission and program goals will also help you communicate their needs to funders. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have to appreciate you, thanking you for listening. God bless you.
Can we please show some appreciation one more time? Thank you very much. I want to believe we'll take a little break. Yes, I can see we are busy doing the other things, researching with our mouth and all that. It's good that we take a little break and we'll just continue. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So it's on that note that I would like to respectfully invite the Directorate of Research and Development, University of Calabar, Professor Basi Griokun, to come talk to us on grant budgeting and management. Please a round of applause for him.
Thank you very, very much. Professor Chikura, thank you very, very much. Let me plead that those of us that are behind there should come front. Come to the front. We want to talk about money, and money is not something you shout about. So please come to the front, because we are about to share money. And when you are talking about money, you don't shout your, even you talk. Things I would like to remind us of. Following the very last presentation on how to write your grants or your proposals, I want to draw your attention to what the presenter said, which you may not have noticed, which is any proposal or any grant you are writing must solve a problem. There must be something new in what you are trying to do. You want people to give you money. You should be able to convince them why they should give you that money. He mentioned it, that you have to sharpen your marketing skills. And the best way to sharpen your skill is to offer something new. So one of the things you must do is that you must have something new you are bringing to the table. That is why they should give you the money. The challenges we have generally is that we don't observe. Our powers of observation are very, very low. And you cannot solve a problem if you don't observe things. You can give yourself a challenge. Take a route you have been driving every day. You will find out that there are some signboards on that your route that you've been taking every day to work or to church that you have never stopped to read. Until somebody draws your attention to it, then you say, oh, I've been passing here, I never noticed it. And that is the challenge we have with grant writing. We live in our society. We live in a box. We never notice things around us. And as such, you cannot offer solutions. For instance, if I ask a very simple question now, we all know Main Avenue. We all know Main Avenue, for those of us who are in Calabar. We all know Main Avenue. But if I say, how many churches are on Main Avenue? Or for those of us who live in state housing, the same question applies. The just point I'm just trying to make is to draw our attention that we don't observe enough. And because we don't observe enough, we are unable to observe the challenges around us in our society and as such offer solutions. So if you must be a So start from there. Open your eyes. 2, you've had a presentation on fundable or available sources for grants. And some of us have the impression that you have to be in a particular field before you can apply for that grant. That is wrong. That is wrong. All human endeavors are interrelated. All human endeavors are interrelated. So what you need to do is, if you identify a source of grant in whatever field, do 3 things. 1, find out those who are experts in that field. 2, see how you can be relevant in that field, taking your own area of competence. 3, look beyond your immediate environment and see if you can broaden the horizon. In other words, if I find an available grant in engineering, I call people in engineering. Are you aware of this? Can we put our heads together and work on this? So do not think that if you are in English, you cannot work in engineering. Thank you. So, stop thinking small. Stop thinking alone. Try to think in a group. Try to think outside the box. While we think alone is selfishness. You want to eat alone. And most often you go to bed hungry or with crumbs when you could have gotten better. So please, if you want to be an effective researcher and write grants that will win, stop thinking alone. Share your thoughts. Sharpen your powers of observation and broaden your horizon. All right, that brings me to the topic I'm supposed to talk to you about, which is budget. Number one, this is not a class on accounting. So, or economics, thank you. I'm a professor of animal science. That's my area of competence. Micro livestock production, particularly. But by God's grace, we've gathered some training along the way. Attended training by USAID. Third Fund has spent a lot of money training me. We thank God. So I'm in a position to share my thoughts with you. There is nothing new I'm going to tell you. I'm merely drawing your attention to what you already know so that you can, like we say, cross the T's and dot the I's. So the first question is, what is a budget? There are several definitions of a budget. The internet is awash with them. But the one I like most, which I'm going to share with you, is a very humorous one, which is that the budget is the plan where you tell the money where to go instead of wondering where it went. It's very, why I like it, because it applies to me. I would plan, struggle, I say I want 1 million naira. And God, being very kind, very infinite in his goodness, will provide me the 1 million naira. Money where to go instead of wondering where it went. If you doubt it, check where your salary goes and you start wondering. Well, to be a little bit academic, you can say that the budget is an estimate of the income and expenditure in any venture for a defined period. Keywords: budget must have a defined period. If you say you are budgeting for 20 years, you must say 20 years. But if you budget for 20 years, you have to be very careful. Most budgets go for 12, maximum 5 years. The budget is different from a rolling plan, please. Budget in this context is the plan on how you want to spend your money. But let us leave the academics and look at research. What is a good research budget? Because we are here talking about research, and that's what concerns us here. A good research budget. And remember, you are writing a proposal. You are asking people to give you money. So your budget should be able to tell those you are asking for money what you want to do with their money. What you want to do with their money. If you cannot convince somebody you are asking for money what you want to do with his or her money, you are likely not to get the money. If you are writing a research proposal and in your budget you want to buy a plane, you want to marry 3 wives, and you put it in the budget, of course you know what will happen to your budget. So let us jump and go to what do we expect to see in our budget. While they are trying to load it, let's go ahead. First, how do you draw up your budget? How do you draw up your budget? Your budget starts from your research question. Your budget starts from your research question. From your research question, you go to your methodology. In other words, you have asked a question, and you will now try to see how you want to answer that question. So your budget items must be related to your research question, and they must be derived from the activities that you have listed. That is how you arrive at your budget. Go to the slide that has the table. So first, you write your research question. Then you write your methodology, how you want to do it. And this cuts across all fields. All fields, from humanities to the sciences. So once you have your research question, you have your methodology, then you list the resources you need to achieve the objectives you have stated. You list the resources you need. For instance, I asked a very simple question when I started. I said, we all know Main Avenue. How many churches are there in Main Avenue? If I have a grant, or I'm looking for a grant to ascertain the number of churches along Main Avenue, I have to now sit down and ask myself one question, which is, what are the resources I need to know the number of churches along Main Avenue? We are all in a classroom now. So help me here. What is one resource I will need? Fine. Vehicle. All right? So let's take note of vehicle. Next one. Petrol. Okay? Somebody said airtime. What else? Pen and paper. Right. So is that all? There's one important one. Oh. Thank you. The human resources. So you list those things from your human resources, your vehicle, your pen and paper, your airtime. So when you now list those things, because these are the things you need to establish what you want to do, then you now go back. And as you are listing, of course, you are itemizing. You now go back and take each item, and do the costing. For instance, if you say you want to buy a vehicle to be able to count the number of churches along Main Avenue, will somebody give you the money? No. Nobody will give you that money. But if you say, I would like to hire for 4 hours, that is more reasonable. Is that not so? So you must be able to find out how much it is to hire a vehicle for an hour and multiply by the number of hours that you have to arrive at the cost for transportation. Are we together? Because the mistake most of us make, please take it from me, I have seen some of the things you have done under your IBR. I have seen some of the things you have done under your NRF. And I have seen some of the things you have done in your proposal for the World Bank. So I'm speaking for some position of strength. You finish your work. Oh, they say 2 million. This IBR, 2 million. Then you just sit down and just come out with things that will consume the 2 million. And sometimes you go above board. As Professor Chukura said, you must respect the funders' rules and regulations. And sometimes you now list things just to consume the 2 million naira that are not even related with what you want to do. And that's where most of us run into problems. So, you must generate the items in your budget from your research question and from your methodology. So everything in your budget must be related to the work. Let me give you an instance. Why some of us are having challenges with our work, and we always quarrel with our principal researchers. Some of you wrote for IBR. You got some money. You went to your principal researcher. An issue came up. You have just received a message that a relation of yours is sick in the village. And you go to your principal researcher and say, listen, please, I just need only 50,000. I have to run to the village now. Please, 50,000. But there's no money. Say, how can you say there's no money now? IBR, we've just collected 2 million. Please, just give me 50,000. And you get angry if you are denied. Or you want to travel from here to Ogoja, and you say transport, because of petrol, it is 100,000 naira. When you are denied that money, the principal researcher should be given a crown. When the principal researcher gives you that money, you are running into trouble because you will not be able to retire that money. As we speak, there are some people who collected money in 2018. They are yet to retire. And because they are yet to retire, they are preventing others from getting. I have been receiving some inquiries because the last batch we processed, about 155 proposals, they are waiting funding. But what is holding the funding is because those who collected in the past are yet to retire. And why are they yet to retire? Because they cannot account for the money that was given to them for the work. And why are they not able to account? Because their expenditure is not tied to the research. So back on track, you derive your budget from your proposal. Now, when it comes to costing, please let's pay attention here. When it comes to costing, we have to exercise a little caution. Professor Chukura told you that you have to be realistic. Let me just backtrack a little bit and just give you essential elements in a good budget. Essential elements in a good budget. If those elements are not there, your budget will not fly. Elements of a good budget. I have told you how to prepare your budget. I have told you that you list your activities and then you cost each item. But before you arrive at preparing your budget, there are certain elements you must take into consideration. One, planning. You must have planned your work properly. Without planning, your work, your proposal will not flow. It will be haphazard. So you must plan. Two, your budget must be flexible. If your budget is not flexible, you'll be in trouble. And that is a problem most of you have with IBR. IBR, the money is fixed. And you too go and make a budget that is fixed. By the time you get the money, prices have changed. Some of you are still coming to my office to find out from me how to solve that problem. So, your budget must be well planned and it must be flexible. Flexible, it has to be realistic. Your budget must be realistic. If you are asking me to give you money, we all do with our children. When they want to go to school, they send us a list of what they require. As parents, knowing how limited your resources are, when you see an item that is not realistic, for instance, your child wants to go back to the school, and he says, I must go back to school with iPhone 13. iPhone 13. You presentation. And in my budget, I don't have a heading. And in my heading, in my budget, I don't have a subhead for beer. I can do two things. I can put the beer under tea break. What you have cannot do what you had planned initially to do. Because when you applied initially, the prices were reasonable. Now the prices have gone up. What do you do? Within the rules, you are not allowed to change your topic, your research topic. You wanted to go and count the number of churches on Main Avenue, and money was given to you. Suddenly you find that you have obstacles on the way. You cannot now say, let me count the number of churches on Marian Road or Atekong Drive. You can't do that, so you can't change your topic. But within the rules, you are allowed to change your scope. You are allowed to change your scope. Main Avenue, Main Avenue extends from Goldie to Ejele. Not so. Now, on account of cost constraints, you can say, okay, let me just count from the beginning of Main Avenue to Atamu, the beginning of Atamu. The churches are still on. Do you get the point I'm making? The churches are still on Main Avenue. But instead of going from beginning of Goldie or from Goldie to Ejele, you are now doing from Goldie to the beginning of Atamu.
But how do you retire personnel costs? What you pay to the resource persons?
That is the easiest one to retire, because you write their names and they sign. Why we have challenges with that is because you write that you are going to pay Professor Iglogon 50,000 naira. You come to Professor Iglogon, you know that things are very hard. I convinced this, and you give me 20,000. You cannot come back to me to sign for 50,000. That's why you have those challenges. But if you say you are going to pay somebody 10,000 naira, and you write the person's name and the person signs and get 10,000 naira, it's the usefulness of your project, of your research. So, if for be guided by the donors, be guided by the rules of the donors. If for 8 million, you have shortchanged yourself by 200,000. So you decide what you want to shortchange yourself with. But if you go above the 2 million naira, your proposal is out. Is that clear enough? Have I answered your question?
Sorry. It's true that we can have over and under budget. Now he has told us that in some funders, 50 million is the maximum. And now you want to submit your proposal because you have heard that 50 million is the maximum. You now go straight to 50 million, even though your proposal is not more than 30 million. I told you, the reviewers are specialists selected from all fields. Account specialists are there. Administrators are there. Researchers, statisticians are there. So you must make sure that what you are claiming rhymes with what you are submitting. Like he mentioned earlier, that you want to count the number of churches in Main Avenue, and for you to go for this counting, you want to use underestimate may also lead you to failure. I told you a story about somebody who said, if I put this money too much, they may disqualify me. He went and underestimated the budget. And the panels or the reviewers looked at it and said, yes, all these things listed here. Maybe you want to think 10 million. 10 million cannot do this work. And they will ask you, how do you think this will be enough for you? You say, no problem, I will manage it. I know. That means you have told them that you are already 10 million naira not do what you want in that proposal. So that's why I have to be very careful, realistic when we are doing our budget, because that's the major aspect of what we are writing. The major one now becomes their budget, because that's the funders are concerned. Thank you.
Thank you very much, resource persons. I am Dr. Agnes Okute. The point on cost verification is what has caused me to ask this question. Nowadays, prices are rising at such a rate that we can hardly estimate how a budget can remain realistic or how costs can be verified over a period of time. So in writing for proposal and verifying the cost, what do we do? Is there a guide on a markup, for instance, in marketing or in buying and selling? When we are fixing the cost, there is a markup that can be added to, peg the fluctuation in price. But in this proposal,
Yes, prices change by day. Now we are in fuel scarcity. Everybody in Nigeria knows today that fuel is scarce. And probably the least you can get fuel today is 180. I'm coming, I said the lowest. Okay, let's take it 250. So you cannot now fill your budget that a liter is now 5,000 naira because the prices of fuel is rising by day. Anytime prices change in Nigeria today, it's not only within one place. Everybody in Nigeria will know it. So you as a marketer, a marketing educator, you should know all these things. The rules are there. And you know what guys' marketing prices or whatever you have in buying and selling. So let us not go into argument about this. You know what to do when you are doing this thing. Thank you very much.
In addition to that, if you remember when I made my presentation, I cautioned that you have to be careful in your costing, and you take the fact that there will be inflation in making your costing. I made that point clear. And I also say that you should be careful of the time lag between when you write your proposal and when the money hits your account. In other words, you should have that factored in. And that is why any good research proposal must have a risk management element. A risk management element, so that you are able to circumvent and solve those risks that are likely to occur. And that is why you are told that your budget must be flexible. All right? Okay.
Thank you, sir. My question is, I want to talk in respect of NRF. When they demand for progress reports, and you are given 60% of the initial budget, and it is demanded that with that 60%, you equally submit your publication, meaning that it is expected that, well, that is the meaning I'm deducing. I don't know if that is correct. That you must have finished, because you can't publish your work if you have not finished the work. And only 60% is given. I want to know how do we react to this? Knowing fully well that the work cannot be completed with the 60% first tranche release that is given to you. And it's expected that, because it was stated there when the fund was released, that you must have 3 publications in Q1 journals. So I want to get the correct interpretation to that. Then I want to quickly add on the issue of cost. Well, I think sometimes, although you call it management, whatever, I don't remember the term. Risk management. Well, I call it inflation rates, and I quoted there this inflation rate, and within this time lag, then I added it, and then somehow it was accepted. So I just want to say that if that means the management risk. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for the question. For the avoidance of doubt, the gentleman who just spoke won an NRF. Don't go and meet him for loan. As I tried to say earlier on, you are allowed to factor in those inflation rates and statutory taxes. I said so. Now, as academics now, you start your research. By the time you have done even 40% of your work, please, we're talking as academics now. By the time you have done 40% of your work, you should have things to be able to publish. Let's be realistic. I learned it the hard way. When I was pursuing my PhD, when I did my preliminary analysis and everything, my supervisor called me. My supervisor called me and said, Okon, what have you done? I said, I have done A, B, C, D, E, F. So, Okon, go and write it. So I have not finished. Okon, go and write it. So, Prof, I want to, please sit. I want to believe that in your work already, the things you have done already, the meetings you have held, all the data collection you have done, you are in a position to bring out some publication on the journey so far. We are talking as academics now. It doesn't have to be from when I walk from Goldie to Ejeli. If I arrive from Goldie to Atamunu, I say I have arrived at Atamunu, and these are the number of, and these are what I discovered, and the denominations. And when I progress from Atamunu to Eko Abasi, I say from Atamunu to Eko Abasi, this is what and what I found. These are the denominations. These are the number of pastors. This is the number of female pastors and all that. Does it make sense? So you know what to do. Thank you. Yes?
Thank you very much, Prof. I have really benefited from this program. Please, my question is based on one of the last things you said when you were doing presentation. You said that you are not allowed to change your topic. You are allowed to change your scope due to cost control and so on. I want to also add, from the presentation, you have said that the team members, you don't necessarily need to use people from your own area of specialization. Assuming after you have done this proposal, from this workshop, I have learned something. and we have done something, we are maybe 2 or 3 of us, and I've realized that there is somebody I can add to the team, not necessarily from my area, but I know that he has something very important to beef up this, my work. Am I allowed to bring in somebody else into the team, even though the person's name was not there from the beginning of the proposal? You know, it's after proposal that when you win the award, the money, you can now start the work proper. If I find somebody who can add value to what we are about to write, is it possible after proposal to add another person's name who has a part to play? That's my question. Thank you, sir.
Let's get some things straight. When I talked who were growing up as children, living in a big compound in the village, my grandmother, may God rest her soul, would give us food to eat. We would sit around. And she, being a very large-hearted woman, anybody passing, she will invite, say, come and eat. And as the person is coming, in a flash, she will reduce your own, reduce, and make a lump for the next person. So some of us develop the habit of eating very fast, knowing that if you delay. But my immediate younger sister, she's still a slow eater. In their profile. So you can see Professor this or Mr. this or Dr. this will handle data analysis. It doesn't have to be an engineer or a medical doctor or an agriculturist, but the person has a specific role to play. So team members must be people who have things to bring to the table. And that is why in assembling your team, you should look across. Okay? All right, I think.
Thank you very much. Prof, if you allow questions to continue, we'll have a quantum infinitum questions. I believe tomorrow will be another day, so it's only proper that we close, so I'll come back tomorrow refreshed. So if I have your permission, sir, I'll bring this meeting to a close and hope that all our questions, will gather them and ask them tomorrow. We began with a prayer, and Director of CTLE prayed for us. He's a man, and we say we live in a gender-sensitive society, so I'm going to ask that any woman who is led
Sorry, before we take the prayers, on behalf of my director, as the deputy director of the center, I want to appreciate you all for coming. Please, directly after this meeting, we want all professors who have just referred to please meet with us at our center. We'd like to meet with you briefly. Thank you for coming, and God bless you.
All right. Please, I wouldn't know the names now, but if you are moved by the Spirit and you are a lady, please can you step forward and close us with a prayer? We want a lady. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Can we all be upstanding? In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Merciful Father, we want to thank you for this great opportunity given to us to learn. There is no end to learning.
So much power in that name. That name.
To bring glory.
Jesus.
Make our university. Make these prayers.
He said he has given us a name that is above every other name. That at the mention of the name of Jesus, every
Thank you very much. We'll be here by 9 a.m. prompt tomorrow, please.
will confess
9 a.m. prompt.
that Jesus, your saving God, the one who loves you carelessly,
we dispense with African
is
time
Lord
today.
forever. And he has said there is power in that name.
Thank you very much.
A name that is above every other name. The righteous run into it and they are saved. Can you lay hold of that name right now and begin to speak something? Lay hold of that name. I call on your name and let my Yakobera. Call on that name. Power in the name. Power in the name. Power in the name. The name of Jesus. Jesus died in Jesus for the ransom. What a ransom you paid for. What a payment you issued for.